Hello everybody, it's Keira and welcome back to Keira and Megan F1. So, where do I even start? What a crazy couple of days it's been. Where do I even begin? So, it's been such a crazy past couple of days and honestly, I'm baffled. Today's video is all about the cancelled Australian Grand Prix. Now, as we know, the Australian Grand Prix is the opener for the Formula 1 season. It was meant to be this weekend. Right now, quali would have happened, okay? But as we know, the Grand Prix was in fact cancelled and there has been such a drama around this that I thought I would sit down and give you guys a video of what happened over the course of pretty much 12 hours or so. I've got all the insights from around the paddock. I've got all of people's different opinions on this, and I've got some really good insights as to what happened and literally what was going on. Before we get into this video, if you do enjoy it, please be sure to smash a big thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe down below and comment video ideas, because obviously we have a little bit of a gap now before the next Formula 1 race, so let me know what you want to see. So it's currently Thursday in Melbourne. We've done the drivers' press conference for the weekend and we are pretty much set to go. Obviously this coronavirus has been around, but Formula 1 is going ahead. Everybody has made it to the track. Thousands, millions, actually no, I don't even know what I'm saying, thousands, millions of pounds have gone into this Australian Grand Prix. All the teams are there, everything's shipped over. We're pretty much ready to go. Now, we were told a couple of days prior that some of the McLaren team members and some of the Haas team members were being tested for the coronavirus, and all of the Haas team members actually came back negative. However, a McLaren team member did come back positive and was therefore quarantined in his hotel room. So this is where the drama began. We obviously knew that somebody in the paddock had now got the coronavirus, and as much as for Bahrain we were going to do it behind closed doors, if somebody's got it in the paddock, they're going to be there regardless. So McLaren made a really good and wise decision. At 10:22 at night in Melbourne on the Thursday night, they announced that they would not be taking part in the Australian Grand Prix, and their statement read: McLaren Racing have confirmed this evening in Melbourne that it has withdrawn from the 2020 Formula 1 Australian Grand Prix following the positive test of a team member for the coronavirus. The team member was tested and self-isolated as soon as they started to show the symptoms and will now be treated by local healthcare authorities. The team has prepared for this eventuality and has ongoing support in place for its employee, who will now enter a period of quarantine. The team is cooperating with the relevant local authorities to assist their investigation and analysis. Zak Brown, CEO of McLaren Racing, and Andreas Seidel, team principal of McLaren F1, informed Formula 1 and the FIA of the decision this evening. The decision has been taken based on the duty of care not only for McLaren F1 employees and partners, but also for the team's competitors, Formula 1 fans and wider F1 stakeholders. So that is what McLaren said about the situation, and it was such a shock. It just popped up on my phone, and it's such a shock because in my time watching Formula 1, I've never seen a team withdraw, but obviously we know this coronavirus is such a big thing, and actually a couple of hours prior, Lewis said in the press conference he didn't even, know that this was going to go ahead. He did not expect this Grand Prix to go ahead, but as somebody has tested positive, I thought it was a really good decision of McLaren to make to withdraw. So that's the vibe at the moment. Everyone's thinking, oh, we're going to run this race with 9 teams, even though Ross Brawn said we would never run a race with only 9 teams. As soon as a team is unable to come, we would not run this race. And he said this around the time where we were unsure whether the Italian teams like Ferrari and AlphaTauri would be able to make it to the first race, because at that time, because this virus has been spreading so much, we weren't sure, if it was the Italian teams that wouldn't be able to come over. So obviously Formula 1 did retweet this so everybody knew and was aware. It didn't just come from McLaren, it also came from Formula 1. And after this is where they basically made the speculation that this wasn't going to go ahead by saying Formula 1 and the FIA had been... Oh, hang on, that doesn't make sense. Oh wait, no, there was a typo in it, that makes sense. Let me try again. Formula 1 and the FIA have been coordinating with all the relevant authorities on the next steps. Our priority is the safety of the fans, the teams and all personnel at the race. So obviously that is indicating, we are looking into this, whether we should do this race or not. And a lot of people on Twitter went straight to it and was like, we need to cancel this race. I know that Matt Gallagher was very opinionated that we should cancel the race. A lot of people were. I think probably it was more like 60-40, 60 to cancel it, 40 like, no, go ahead. And I was kind of on the fence. I was like, I don't really know what we should do at this stage, you know. And obviously social media was going mental. So it was around 2 o'clock UK time, so that would be about 1 AM Melbourne time. Kim Illman, the photographer, went live on YouTube and was kind of explaining the situation, because at this point nobody has a clue what's going on. We're aware that McLaren have withdrawn, but is the race going ahead? You know, we're counting down the time until FP1. Bear in mind, this is in the middle of the night in Australia. It's not like the daytime how it was in the UK. It was literally nighttime in Australia. I guess everyone was working complete. I don't think anybody slept that whole night, especially in the media, because they needed to make sure that they covered everything. So I was getting updates from Kim's live stream. He was saying really good things actually. He was answering a lot of questions live from I think it was from the chat from YouTube or from Twitter, I'm not entirely sure. And yeah, the day kind of went on from there. We didn't hear anything for absolutely hours, because it was around like 5-6 o'clock that I started following like properly all of like the Formula 1 feed and all of like the hashtag AusGP or hashtag Australian Grand Prix on Twitter. So at this stage we're like, look, McLaren have made such a good decision. This was when everyone was like, yes, go McLaren. I was getting a lot of my updates from Andrew Benson, who works for BBC Sport, and also Chris Medland, who does journalism in Formula 1 as well, and they were really good. Like, they had such good insights. Obviously they were in the paddock, but everything that they tweeted was like straight off hot news. And I'm going to read some of the things that Chris was tweeting out, because I thought that Chris's was especially really, really good. So I'm going to have to read this out UK time because it's literally only telling me UK time. This was at 8:30 at night in the UK time, and this was when we thought Friday was going ahead as normal, despite the concerns of the coronavirus from a team member at the paddock. It was basically, unless FIA states otherwise, we're going ahead. At this point, this was early in the morning now, I think, and I think the teams were starting to arrive at the paddock. Obviously, these media people have been up all night, but the teams have literally woken up and they can't actually get, I don't think they could get into the track until 9 AM when the curfew broke. So people were just going to the track as they thought they were meant to. Now, Chris also said that according to 2 sources, a vote of the teams overnight over whether to continue or not came out as 50-50. I'm so disappointed. And we did actually work out what teams they were. So obviously McLaren were definitely ruled out because they were not going to take part. There was Ferrari said no. Obviously we'll count McLaren, said no. Mercedes, wait, did I say Mercedes or Ferrari? So Mercedes said no, obviously McLaren said no because we're going to count them because they withdrew. Ferrari said no, Renault said no, and actually Red Bull said no but turned up at the track a little bit later. But obviously teams like Alpha, Haas, Williams and Racing Point, they all turned up and they wanted to go ahead with the weekend, and they were there. They were all there ready. Apparently Racing Point were in the pit lane doing their like warm-up stretches, all the mechanics and everything. They were ready to go for this FP1 session. Bearing in mind this was about 9:30 in the morning now for Melbourne time. FP1 was literally going to start in an hour and a half, I think. So it was getting to the point where we had still heard nothing from the FIA. Half the teams have not turned up. Half the teams are ready to go. The FIA have not said a thing. Literally, Mercedes and Ferrari were empty, like absolutely empty. There was not in sight. Not a Ferrari member in sight, not a Mercedes member in sight. Throughout the whole night, Craig Slater was reporting for Sky Sports. He was getting all of his information, as everybody else was, from sources inside the paddock. So halfway through the night, he was like, no, we're back on. We're back on, we're definitely back on. Even Sky properly put out a full report on it saying we are back on. Everyone's so confused because they're thinking, no, this should be cancelled, this is unbelievable. And then like 20 minutes later, I think it was probably Sten from the BBC, Andrew Benson, then said, no, we're definitely off, we will have a statement soon. But this was like 4 hours before they actually made a statement. I reckon a good 3 hours before the FIA made their statement, we were all pretty sure this was going to get called off. Before that time, we were in a phase where we were like, yes, no, not sure. Are they going to call it off? Are they not going to call it off? I was so confused. I was sitting there on Twitter thinking, what is going on? But obviously Formula 1 want to make their money. There's a lot of money they're losing by cancelling this. So as much as health needs to come first, they were losing a lot of money to cancel this Grand Prix. Now by this point, all of the fans are waiting outside of the track. You know, the gate, I think they were waiting probably about an hour over when the gates should have opened. They're all outside. Obviously this is not just a Europe race, this is people that have travelled to Australia. They're not just locals. I think a lot of people think that the only people that go to the Australian Grand Prix are Australians, and it's not. The Australian Morning News actually interviewed a UK man, and he was saying, you know, he'd saved up for this the whole year. He'd flown out to Australia on the Tuesday and you know, we're waiting outside, we have no idea what's going on because nobody has made this decision. And at this point I was shocked. Like, I just could not believe that we were still waiting for this decision. It's pretty much inevitable what they should have done. It's very, very obvious that this should not go ahead, but we were still waiting. So finally at 10 o'clock in the morning Melbourne time, at 11 o'clock at our time, the Formula 1 and the FIA finally made a statement to say that it's cancelled, and it read: Formula 1 and the FIA, with the full support of the Australian Grand Prix Corporation, have taken the decision that all Formula 1 activity for the Australian Grand Prix is cancelled. Now, obviously, everyone at this point was like, well, thank God, why is this taking you so long? It's literally, I think it was an hour before FP1. Teams started packing up, everyone was going home, and it was quite good for the people in the UK because they didn't have to wait for too long. It was 11 o'clock and I was like, that's fine. I can go to bed now. By about 11:30, I was asleep. As soon as that happened, everyone turned their attentions to Bahrain and Vietnam. Obviously, next weekend we were meant to go to Bahrain. 2 weeks after that we were meant to go to Hanoi, and then obviously we had the gap in April for the Chinese Grand Prix, which was postponed anyway. Bahrain we knew was going to be at closed doors anyway. That was where the Formula 3 and the Formula 2 were going to start their campaign for 2020. So there was a lot riding on the Bahrain Grand Prix. So it was crucial that they made a decision very quickly. They could not leave it like they did before. There was no way they could leave it like this Australian Grand Prix. So instantly, once this was cancelled, that's what everybody turned to. That's what everybody started thinking about. So there was rumours that they would make a decision on this by the end of the Friday, and they actually did, which I'm actually gobsmacked about. They actually made a decision. So this was 8 hours ago. This was 12:38 UK time, and Formula 1 announced that due to the continued global spread of coronavirus and after ongoing discussions with the FIA and race organisers, a decision has taken place by all parties to postpone the Bahrain Grand Prix and the Vietnam Grand Prix, due to take place March the 20th to the 22nd and April the 3rd to the 5th respectively. So obviously this rules out pretty much to the end of April now. I think Zandvoort was around the 5th of May. However, they then tweeted underneath, which basically said that we're not going to have Zandvoort, we're not going to have Monaco, we're not going to have Spain. They said, as a result, Formula 1 and the FIA expect to begin the championship in Europe at the end of May, but given the sharp increase in coronavirus cases in Europe in the recent days, this will be regularly reviewed. And they literally put straight under that, 2020 season now expected to start at the end of May. And if we look at the calendar for the end of May, that is the Monaco Grand Prix, which is on the 24th of May. If not, the one after that is Azerbaijan, which is the 7th of June. And that's actually the race that everyone's saying that this will probably take place. It's crazy, but obviously we still don't know whether this is going to go ahead. The cases are rising so much in Europe. We just have no idea if this season's even going to start. But obviously the hype around Hanoi and the hype around Zandvoort, to think that they're both not going to take place is really sad, and it is very, very scary to think that this virus has spread like that. So that's literally how the night went. From my perspective, obviously being kind of in the media but kind of being a fan as well, it was like, I need to follow other people who are in the paddock, but then I also need to report myself. I need to make sure that I'm, you know, ready for any situation. I was putting posts up on Instagram saying it's due to go ahead with no spectators, because that was another thing a rumour went around. And I think it is rumours. Social media can start so much. So rumour said it's expected to go ahead but no spectators, whilst they were all waiting outside, can I add. So I was posting that, then it was like, no, it's not going to happen, and it was just so confusing. But at the end of the day, I do think that Formula 1 and the FIA made the right decision to cancel the event. But yeah, that is what happened this weekend. I'm really, really sad that there is no Formula 1 this weekend, and there won't be any Formula 1 for a while. I know that everybody's absolutely gutted, but at the same time, we had to take the right precautions, and I'm really glad that the FIA and Formula 1 have done so. And hopefully we can all fight off this virus and it goes away. I can't physically believe this virus has taken over the world like that. I just want to wish that everybody stays safe, everybody stays healthy, and obviously, you know, wash your hands as much as you can. Don't touch things that are dirty. Just common sense things. Don't start nicking everybody's loo roll in the shops as well. That's something you shouldn't be doing. Do not nick all the soaps from the shops. Do not panic buy. Calm down, and hopefully everything will get better for summer. Obviously so many other motorsport events have been cancelled. Formula E has pretty much all been cancelled, I think, or suspended. WEC have postponed, MotoGP have postponed, anything under the sun have postponed, to be honest with you. But yeah, there we go. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please be sure to smash a big thumbs up, and please subscribe for more videos. Obviously I was going to do a better video for this weekend. I was expecting to do a proper, you know, weekend rundown, start the season off, start this YouTube channel off. However, we're under different circumstances, which is absolutely fine, and I thought I'd give you a little rundown of, you know, the weekend, what's been going on, and I will think of more content to do whilst we're in this extended winter break. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon for a brand new video. Bye.